Thoughts are things.
August 10th is my birthday, and I had just turned 14 years old. I was visiting two friends a couple of blocks over from our house when one of them came in and told us that the horse was out of the pen in the backyard. In those days, we could keep livestock in town. The county population was just over 8,000, and the town population was 1,200. We all went out to round up the horse. The horse was not in my friend's backyard. The horse had gone into a vacant lot behind the alley, which was overgrown with tall weeds and some wild corn. That stuff was over our heads, so we started beating the weeds. I was moving along at a pretty good clip and stepped through a clump of pretty heavy stuff and right into the back end of that horse. Now that horse let out a squeal, jumped forward, and hunched up. I thought, oh, he's gonna kick. I grabbed for his tail. It's true, if you can get a horse's tail and hold it hard enough, he won't kick. But you have to get the tail. I missed. I went sailing through the air and hit the ground on my back. I got up and thought, that's strange. Why don't I hurt? He got me right in the pit of my stomach. My friends, who were identical twins, came bolting through the weeds and stood over some body lying on the ground. I was one of the few in town who could actually tell the twins apart, even when they weren't standing together. The twins picked up this body, whoever he was, and ran toward their house carrying him. I went with them and tried to talk to them. They weren't paying any attention to me at all. That pissed me off, and I grabbed one friend by the shoulder. My hand went right through his shoulder. He gave kind of a shudder, looked around, and kept going. I followed them up the stairs into their back porch and into the kitchen. Well, I tried to follow them, that is, but the kitchen door slammed shut right through me. Man, you think that isn't startling? Let me tell you, it is very startling. I was sort of getting the impression that everything was not as ordinary as it had been that morning when Mom told me to round up my friends for a party. I was inside the kitchen before I could think about it, and then in the living room where my friends were putting this body on the couch. I could see that his belt buckle was practically smashed. I looked closer and discovered that was my belt buckle. What was this guy doing with it? I had never seen him before in my life. As I got a closer look, I saw that the person was me. I mean, we never see ourselves as others see us. Even in pictures, we don't really look at ourselves. I mean, I hadn't up until then. Anyway, my friend's mother was checking me, that is the body out, and she said, he isn't breathing. My friend grabbed the phone and called the doctor. No one in the house knew artificial respiration. Just about then, really strange things began to happen. I could see a very tiny silver cord running from the pit of the stomach of the body to my stomach. I could move myself outside of the house by just thinking. I wanted to be outside. Then I thought of Mom, and I was in the kitchen where she was mixing up the cake batter for my birthday party. I thought, that is too bad. Now I won't be able to attend, and she is going to be very unhappy that I am not around. I thought of Dad, and suddenly I was in town 2 miles down the road in the railroad depot where Dad was the station agent. He gave a kind of startled jerk, looked around, right through me, said, that's strange, and went back to work. I noticed that in town, around the railroad and in and out of the hotel where the railroad crews changed trains and had their layovers, there were gray bodies just sort of wandering around. They would just pass through the people on the porch of the hotel, neither noticing the other. These gray beings were faceless and didn't seem to be doing anything except wandering around, sort of like they were lost. So here I was in town. I began to feel as if I was being withdrawn. I was now standing in the corner of the room with my body. My friend was on the phone. He said that the doctor was on his way. The doctor was 15 miles out of town. The room seemed to be receding. getting smaller and smaller. I was then inside some sort of dark place that was getting darker and darker. It started whirling around me, and I was feeling intense vibration inside my body. It was so powerful that I thought I was going to be dissolved. Just when it got so powerful, I thought I was a goner. I was out of the tunnel, if that is what you could call it. I was in a place of total darkness. I raised my hand and looked at it. I thought, almost too dark to see your hand in front of your face. What is this place?
So I just created this dope website with Wix. Let me show you how I did it. First up, go to Wix.com. Now this is where the magic happens. You're gonna add an image and some text. Oh, that's nice. First what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with the font. Wait a minute, Frank Brand.
I looked around and I seemed to be standing on something solid, but I couldn't see it. I felt my body and I was wearing clothes, but they seemed to be of a much finer fabric than my t-shirt and blue jeans. I thought, well, this seems to be it. I must have bought the farm. I am dead. So this is what it's like. Nothing. Nowhere. I was standing there puzzled when I noticed a tiny light, which seemed to be way